Welcome to Pinnacle Performance Company's Fishbowl Friday with Pinnacle co-founder and COO G. Riley Mills and master instructor and editorial director Brad Lawrence.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fishbowl Fridays. I am Brad Lawrence. Here's G. Riley Mills. We're with Pinnacle Performance Company. What are we doing, G?
Well, let's tell them about Fishbowl Friday first. For those of you unfamiliar at this point, which there can't be many of you, we've got the Fishbowl. It's Friday, and what we have inside are a bunch of slips of paper. On them are questions or problems that people run into around topics such as communication, leadership, collaboration, influence. Every Friday, we pick one. And Brad and I discuss it and offer up some tools and techniques based on our training and our experience to help you out with that. Is that about right?
That sounds right to me.
Let's get at it.
All right, go ahead. Please be my guest.
All right, here we go. Oh, I like this one. All you.
Oh, I dread impromptu speaking. What are some tips?
Okay, so for those of you unfamiliar with the term impromptu, or if you're not quite sure, that means speaking, presenting without notes. No notes.
No prep.
No prep, no notes. You're speaking in the moment, sometimes called off the cuff.
Yeah.
What are your tips? First off, what do you think they're asking there? What do you think that question is about? What's their fear or their situation?
Well, I'm guessing that they're feeling the heat of being put on the spot
Sure.
with zero preparation.
Yep.
So the thing that always comes to mind in impromptu speaking for me is the illusion of transparency, which you are hyper aware of the fact that you don't know what you're going to say next.
Sure.
Maybe somebody asks you a tough question, you weren't prepared for it. Oh, you start sweating, you start feeling
Yep.
butterflies. Oh my gosh, I meant to say that. Do I say this? What do I say? You're aware of all that happening, but
Yep.
your audience can't see
No.
or hear any of that because 99% of it's internal.
For sure. Impromptu is probably the hardest
Yes.
way to communicate information because you have no notes to go to. You have no slides behind you. It's literally just you, like you said, in the hot spotlight of the moment. So a couple tips that we can offer up. This is definitely something in our training that we help people get comfortable answering questions. First off, take a beat before you answer any question when you're speaking impromptu. Why? It gives you a moment to frame up your answer because the minute it comes out of your mouth, you own it. You are responsible and you'll be held accountable for it.
For better or for worse.
Also, the worst place for what we call a verbal virus, the or the is at the beginning of an answer to an impromptu question. So if you ask me, hey, can you deliver this program in 6 weeks? And I answer, yeah, we can. I just killed my credibility. So replace it with a beat of silence. So that's my first thing.
Yeah.
And what else would you say impromptu besides taking a beat before you speak?
It's a skill like anything else. We live in Chicago. I don't know about you. I've got a lot of friends who are in the improv community,
Sure.
improvisational comedy like Second City and,
Yeah.
and places like that. And what always fascinated me about them is I have one friend in particular. He used to rehearse like 5 nights a week. For improv comedy, and I always used to ask him, "What are you rehearsing? Aren't you taking suggestions from the audience? Aren't you making it up?"
There's no script.
Yeah, right. And he would always say, "Well, I'm practicing, not practicing.
Smart.
I'm practicing the skill of being able to come up with something instinctively and trust my response." And so I would say if you're someone who doesn't like impromptu speaking or it freaks them out, practice it. Put yourself in low-stakes situations where you can do it. Or we do an exercise where we have topics and questions on cards and we throw them randomly at people. And it's like, all right, 60 seconds, go. What do you got?
You can practice that on your own.
Absolutely.
Just write a bunch of tough questions that you might have to deal with as part of your job or the upcoming presentation. Throw them in a fishbowl.
Hey.
And then just practice them. Just do it, pull one out, record yourself answering it, and go back, watch it.
It's a great way to spend a commute.
Absolutely. Thinking about how I would answer. A couple other things that I want to run by you is, one, say less.
Always.
If you're speaking in the moment, the longer you go on, the more danger you can get in. So keep your answer as tight as possible.
Yeah, and I would say don't feel like you bear the entire burden of coming up with a response. I know you're in the spotlight, but if you need a moment to think, ask a question, get your audience involved. How would you answer that,
Yeah.
G? I'm curious to hear your all's thoughts on this before I give mine. There's other ways to put the focus somewhere else to give yourself a couple seconds to come up with.
Yeah, and also reframe the whole experience.
Sure.
If you're walking into the Q&A or an impromptu situation, dreading it, feeling like you're going to fail, and this is terrifying, it's not going to be pleasant. So if you can reframe it in your mind of, hey, I'm going to keep my answer tight. I'm going to take a beat before I answer. I'm going to project confidence, and I'm going to enjoy this interaction, this Q&A. I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
So there is your Fishbowl Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you'd like to submit a question for the Fishbowl, drop us an email at fishbowl@pinper.com. If you'd like to learn more about Pinnacle Performance Company, email us at info@pinper.com. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and tell your friends. See you next week.